Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's presentation. Family Matters Parent Training and Information Center is one of the two parent training and information centers that serves the state of Illinois, and we are here to help parents and families, caregivers, students, self advocates, and professionals understand their role in special education. We work with families of infants, toddlers, children, and youth ages 0 to 26, and we help parents practice effectively in their child's education development. Please remember that Family Matters is unable to offer CEUs for trainings. Um, we can do certificates of attendance if you request it by email after the presentation. Family Matters is not a legal service agency and we cannot provide legal representation in any way. Information you receive from today's presentation is not intended as legal advice and should not be used as a substitution for legal advice. We are funded partially under the U.S. Department of Education, a grant that funds us. However, the contents of today's presentation doesn't necessarily represent the policies of the U.S. Department of Education, and you should not assume endorsement. The webinar today is being recorded, and the recording will be available after the presentation on the Family Matters website. Please use the chat box at this time to state your name and your title, whether that be parent or a professional role, and the organization you may work with. Please make sure that the question and answer box is where you're putting questions. We will address questions today at the end of the presentation, and I don't want them to get lost in the chat. Please help us by completing the brief survey you'll receive following today's presentation, and a copy of the presentation slides were emailed out, but they're also available in the Google Drive that's shared within the chat, and I will share that one more time in the chat. So I'm very happy to see some familiar faces today at our presentation. But just a short little overview, Family Matters is first and foremost an educational advocacy helpline. We also have the portion of the educational surrogate parent grant that where we trained people to be educational surrogate parents. And I am seeing everybody pop up in the chat, and I have many ESPs on this training today. So thank you for attending. We also hold a yearly Compass curriculum program, and where we help people, whether that be parents, self advocates, caregivers, students, or professionals, understand their role in special education. So Compass will be rolling out this January, January 2025, and we are in kind of playing with a new format for Compass. So we're excited for people to jump on Compass this year. Carrie just finished the DAISY data collection educational program, and it is available in Google Classroom format on our website. If you're interested in watching that series, she will be providing that again next year. Special education advocacy trainings happen with us almost on a weekly basis. I'm sure you all get lots of emails from us, just discussing different training topics coming up. So today is one of those training topics. We are also very fortunate to have self advocates that do blog posts for us monthly. We have quarterly newsletters. You should have got one at the beginning of September, and transition news blasts, which you'll get in November. And we just started launching, actually, we're on our second season. I take that back. We're on our second season of our monthly podcast. So you can listen to Family Matters podcast on any platform, podcast platform that you choose to listen to, or they are available on our website. Family Matters employs two full-time educational support coaches. The beautiful Carrie Potter and myself are here to provide assistance to professionals, caregivers, self-advocates, and students. So today's presentation is entitled Bullying, What Can Parents Do? And the presentation today is designed to give a comprehensive overview of bullying and its impact on students, specifically with disabilities. Talk about prevention strategies and useful resources that would be universal for students, whether they have disabilities or not. So let's get started. And again, in the chat, I have shared the box for the presentation slides. You can get them from our Google folder. So today's agenda, let's talk about what is bullying, what are the effects of bullying, what does the state of Illinois require of schools, when does bullying become harassment, and what to do if your child is bullied, and what not to do. Can I turn up the volume? I don't think I can turn up the volume. I don't think I have that power, but I'll try. All right, so let's talk about that there are several types of bullying. Bullying can include physical assault or physical contact, verbal, social, and cyberbullying. These forms can occur in isolation or together. Cyberbullying, in particular, has become more prevalent with the rise of social media and technology. So, statistics show that students with disabilities are bullied at a higher rate than their peers. Understanding prevalence of bullying in this group helps educators and parents better support students. Disabilities, whether visible or invisible, can affect a student's experience at school. Some disabilities may make students more vulnerable, especially if they don't understand the challenges of the student and their disability. So, bullying in accordance to state law or accordance to the definition of bullying is a repeated harassing behavior to someone that causes effect on another person. So, when I teach social skills in local schools, we do a lesson on bullying and we talk about bullying. And so again, please put your questions into the Q&A box. So when I teach it, we do really talk about when a person is just being mean to you compared to when they're bullying. And it's very important to help our students understand the difference between. I hear back from professionals in many instances that the students will approach them and say, I'm being bullied by someone, and this doesn't really fit into that definition of what bullying is. So the big word to remember about bullying is the repeated. Okay, so this is not just someone saying something mean to you or not wanting to play with you or unfortunately maybe walking up and pushing you down. It is um, the repeated action of the individual to another person in the way of harassment. As we discussed earlier, it can be physical, it can be verbal. Our big one right now is the cyberbullying. We see it on lots of different things. Um, to Okay, I will definitely send out the link at another time. Okay, so the repeated, the repeated action of another person to another person in an abusive harassment way. Hang on just a second, and I will try to share that again. I'll have to do it later. Sorry, guys. I got to continue on with the presentation. So, why are we worried about bullying? Well, it's reasonable to fear someone else's repeated assault, right? Whether that be verbal, physical, cyberbullying. A student in that situation is caused pretty big stress, right? And it can affect their school day in many ways. Let's talk about the signs of bullying for students, whether your student is the aggressor or your student is the victim in this situation. It is important to recognize the signs. Some students may not speak up about bullying, but there are signs like unexplained injuries, loss of belongings, or avoidance of social situations can be clues that your student may be a subject to bullying. This is both true for the aggressor and the victim in the situation of bullying. There are many times when your student may fluctuate back and forth between those roles as well. We've seen that as a repeated pattern with our students. But it's important to know that the effects of bullying can definitely affect a student's physical or mental health within the school and in the home life as well. Bullying can have profound impact on a student's ability to participate in school. It can affect their emotional well-being, their academic performance, and their social development within that school platform. And in extreme circumstances, bullying can lead to depression, anxiety, and withdrawal from school. So, also, we have to remember that bullying can affect a student's participation in school activities, whether that be on or off school grounds. It would be, I wouldn't want to do baseball with my school district if I was a victim of bullying. I wouldn't want to go to school on a daily basis. This is sometimes one of our first cues with school avoidance that this may be happening with our students. bullying can take on very many different forms, and that one form can lead to another as well. So harassment, that threats, intimidation, stalking, physical violence, sexual harassment, sexual violence, theft, public humiliation, destruction of property, and retaliation for alleging or asserting an act of bullying. So bullying can take on many different forms. I think what our students are seeing most right now is that the social media aspect. I hear that on a daily basis from my kid that a video has been shared over Snapchat that shows a student in an awkward situation or shows a student being harassed, and that's shared with the entire school platform or even further than that out with Snapchat. Snapchat, we do have a presentation that talks about Snapchat on our archived YouTube page. And it talks a lot about how a lot of times parents aren't involved in that. They don't know that's there because Snapchat, has the ability to the messages disappear pretty quickly. And children younger and younger and younger are using social media as a form of communication with their peers. That's the direction in which our society is going. So knowing that bullying can carry over to that platform is extremely important because our kids have their phones in their hand. All of us have the phones in their hand all the time, and that can carry over to that platform is very serious. It's also important to mention that some of these may start out as a what we would consider a non-invasive way, or they may start out with just little jokes or words, but they can very quickly move into another form of bullying. No bullying is worse than another form of bullying. It's all very hard for our students and for the student that is the aggressor in the situation, but all of them should definitely be taken seriously. So let's talk about our state regulations. So students with disability have legal protections under the Individuals with Disabilities Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. And schools are obligated to ensure these students have equal access to education in a safe environment. So that would include your child's special education plan or 504 plan. We actually have, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, bullying policies. Each district must have a bullying policy, and that bullying policy must be enacted once the school is notified that a bullying incident has occurred. So let's talk about a school's bullying policy. So a school's bullying policy should include being reported promptly, okay? Promptly notifying all parents and guardians of the situation and investigating the reports. And a report must be sent to you as the parent after you have, informed the district of the problem. A parent can inform, a peer can inform, a teacher or school staff member can inform the district of a bullying problem, and it must be addressed. And the best way to inform a district of this problem is by writing a letter, just like we do in every other aspect of special education and accommodations plans. So as long as it works like it's supposed to, I want to pull up an example of what a bullying policy may look like within a district. So let's make sure you can see it. Yes, you can. Okay. So this is my home district's bullying policy. It's found on their school website. It's pretty easy to find. You just pull up a school's website and insert bullying in there. It should also be part of a student's handbook that you receive at the beginning of the school year, and it outlines what bullying is, and it talks about how to report bullying, and it talks about how bullying will be investigated, and then it should include, so this has our grade school and our middle school principal on there, and later at the bottom has our high school principal along with the district superintendent. So these are people you could address your email to let them know this is what's happening with my student, and I would like the district to investigate it. There are examples in my unfortunate Google Drive folder that's not working of how to write those letters to ask that a bullying problem be investigated. So ISB also has some outlined regulations of what a bullying policy should look like. And we can, oh no, I'm sorry, you guys. We can definitely, you can click on this link here to see what those look like. And it brings you to the Illinois School District's bullying policies. So it kind of outlines what that bullying policy should look like and how to find them. So you can find your district and click on it, and it should take you to it. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk about the school's responsibilities when it comes to bullying. Bullying is taken very seriously in our state. I'm proud of that. But our district's responsibility should be to educate students about bullying prevention. They should have it ingrained into their program, into their curriculum to teach all students lessons on kindness, respect, and how to report bullying to help create a school culture that values inclusion and empathy. Technology can be a tool of prevention. School can use reporting apps or anonymous tip lines to make sure students report bullying incidents. Technology also allows the students with disabilities to engage in bullying prevention activities in a way that suits their abilities. So, the school's responsibility is to have some type of system set up that other students can report a bullying problem. There are apps for this. There could be private emails. Lots of things could to take into place. And if your student would come to you and say, "I'm seeing a bullying problem. I don't know how to report it," you as a parent can then get in touch with your school district and talk about implementing ways that are anonymous or through an electronic system and apps like that's suggested here that could benefit your student and benefit other students within your district. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, no student should be bullied. I was a victim of bullying in school, and it was very hard on my mental health. But students with disabilities, whether that be an IEP plan or 504 plan, are more likely to be a victim of bullying at school. And their 504 and IEP plan can include strategies to address bullying, such as social skills training or adult support. This way, it's ensuring that the bullying is specifically addressed in these plans and gives the school responsibilities to act. Cyberbullying can be particularly harmful for students with disabilities who may already feel isolated or have limited social networking. Educating students and parents about the safe online practices and how to report cyberbullying is crucial. So, if you want to find out more information about helping your child understand more about cyberbullying, there will be some resources shared at the end of the presentation. So, like we talked about, you could call an IEP or 504 meeting to talk to your district if you believe that your student is being affected by bullying, whether they be the aggressor or the victim in the situation. talk You should do this if you see a sudden decline in grades, an onset of emotional outbursts, changes in behavior, or missed classroom. These are signs that this might be what's going on with your student. So bullying, of course, is tied in right next to our civil rights, right? It's a harassment, and most of the time bullying is a harassment on something. A bully is going to really see something about the other student that they know that they can get a reaction out of. That might be their race, their color, their national origin, their sex, their disability, their gender, their sexual preference. These are all areas in which a bully or an aggressor may attack our students or our victims. So these are areas in which that are of course protected under civil rights laws as well. So, harassment. Schools need safe, accessible, and confidential systems for reporting bullying, like we talked about before. Anonymous reporting tools or trusted adults that students feel comfortable with are effective ways to encourage reporting. Teachers and staff need ongoing training in bullying prevention, particularly when it comes to recognizing and addressing bullying among students with disabilities. Professional development should include information on how to support vulnerable students. So we should be working on ways to end that harassment, eliminate the hostile environment, and also ways to communicate with parents and tell them what's happening at school. Bullying can have legal consequences, particularly if it violates a student's civil rights. Schools must understand the legal obligations under IDEA or Section 504, and bullies can face serious repercussions, including suspicion and expulsion. If the bullying does carry over to outside the school, you can also speak with your local law enforcement about how to get that harassment to stop. So, what can you do as a parent? Well, you are going to practice restorative practices and focus on repairing the harm done rather than simply punishing the bully. So, that's very, very big to take in. It's hard. We want to protect our kids. We're angry they've been victimized. But it's important that we sit down as a team and try to put some restorative practice in place. Put some, accommodations in our IEP for our students, put some protection in place for our students, and make sure that this problem does not happen again, and make sure that your student feels supported. That's the key there. These practices can include a facilitated conversation between the bully and the victim, but that would be done with you and the school. Okay, that's a different type of situation. We're going to talk about here in a minute what not to do, and that can help. Sometimes that can help the bully understand the impact of their actions on the person that they're victimizing. But why do bullies bully? Bullies are likely to blame others for their actions. They may lack empathy about the situation. They may have been bullied themselves. They could possibly have underdeveloped social skills. They may want control over the situation. They might feel frustrated, angry, or anxious or depressed. And they may be trying to find themselves fit in. All of these things are sometimes students with disabilities. Okay, there's students with disabilities that bully our aggressors in a situation as much as there's students without. So keep that in mind. The aggressor, the bully themselves, are are fulfilling a need within themselves. That need, however, is victimizing another student. So this is something we must stop and replace these behaviors with. That's why social and emotional learning programs teach students important life skills such as empathy, resilience, and emotional regulation. These programs help reduce bullying or prompting of kindness and understanding among all students. Educating students about bullying prevention is key. Lessons on kindness, respect, and how to prevent bullying help create school cultures and values inclusion and empathy. Like I said that before. So, talk to your school. It's okay. Even if you don't have a concern right now about your student being bullied or being the aggressor, talk to them about what social emotional learning strategies are in place for bullying. Okay? Or maybe check out some of the resources we have later in the presentation and share that with your school district. If you see systematically that this is a big problem within your district, these are ways to effectively help your district to stop this problem. So, what if your child is being bullied? Okay. Or I'm sorry, what if the child is the bully? Um, these are things that may be causing your child to be the aggressor. They may want to make themselves popular or fitting in with the crowd more. They may they may want to feel powerful in the situation. They may have been bullied themselves in the past, and they may want to be escaping their own problems, right? These are all legitimate reasons why students with and without disabilities bully. I think we've always known that bullying was an issue at school or on the playground, as we used to say, but our society now has a different take on it. It used to be, oh, every kid gets bullied and we move on. We are more now set in helping our students to overcome the problem, to work through the problem and learn skills themselves, as well as putting a stop to the victimization that's happening so that we aren't then blaming the person who's being victimized. Okay. So, collaborating with school counselors, psychologists, and other mental health professionals is critical to providing necessary supports to students who are victimizing other students or affected by bullying as well. They can also offer prevention resources and intervention strategies. So, what to do if you suspect your child is being bullied? You want to talk to your child, okay? You want to ask them how things are going, what parts of school that they like. Now, if you approach the situation, are you being bullied? Those are big words. I use that term when I'm doing social skills. Those are big words. Start the conversation another way. If you start to see some signs of bullying, approach your child and talk with them. How do you like school? What's your favorite part? Who are your friends at school? Is there anybody you don't like at school? Ask these questions. Don't immediately approach the situation. Are you being bullied? Okay. Remember that your child could have a disability, and big words like bullying are hard for them to understand. You also can talk to the school. Talk to a paraprofessional that may work in your student's classroom, a playground aide, their teacher, another important, supported person at school. Have you seen anything happening at school? I'm worried about this. Again, you're not approaching the subject with, I think Tommy's being bullied. Are you seeing it? You're asking them. Okay, you're asking them what you're seeing. You're going to seek outside help if you need to. So maybe connect them with an outside resource like a counselor, a trusted adult to talk to them, your minister, those types of things. Show positive reinforcement and make expectations clear for your student. This is not acceptable behavior. Okay, so say our student is the aggressor. This is not acceptable behavior. This needs to stop, and there will be consequences for your action. So those are important things to remember if your child is the aggressor or if your child is the victim in the situation. Remember that peer support and advocacy programs can really help build a network for our students for supporting each other. Programs like Best Buddies um, can empower students with disabilities by fostering positive social interactions with each other. So talk to your district. Do we have any social clubs like that that my child can join? Is there an outside organization that can help my child build friendships with other people and not feel so alone? Remember that bystanders are often in a position to intervene and stop bullying. Empowering peers to take action when they witness bullying can make a big difference, but we have to do this in a safe way. We have to make sure that our students can report the problem and not engage in the problem. Encouraging students to report the problem off shows the student that they have support from their peers. Now, what to do if my child is the target of the bullying, of the problem? What to do if they are the victim in the situation? It's important to document everything. If you have a conversation with your student, summarize it and write it down. Contact your school about your concerns. Again, use words that are helpful and positive. We aren't going to call and start screaming at the principal that you're letting Johnny get bullied and I can't believe this. But stay calm. Ask your school about their anti bullying policy in writing or find it within the handbook or on your school's website. Tell your child's story and ask for help. So approach it. Mr. Smith, I'm worried about Johnny. He comes home every day saying that he hates school and children are mean to him. Through conversation, I learned that he doesn't like Blake. He says Blake is mean to him. What can we do about this? I'm afraid that my child might be bullied. Make a plan with the school. Report the problem in writing, like we talked about before, so that it's investigated. After this conversation with the person, your point of contact, in this case the principal, send a thank you letter. Follow up with your child. Ask them if the relationship with Blake has improved. If your child is being threatened physically threatened, or even cyber threatened, ask your child about that immediately. And you can call law enforcement if you need to. If you feel your child is in danger, you can file charges with the school board as well and law enforcement if necessary. You are absolutely allowed to do that. It's important to remember that we get our child help. Okay. Families play a crucial role in bullying prevention. Schools should work with families to educate them on how to support their children, how to identify bullying, and how to advocate for their children's rights in schools. Teaching students with disabilities how to advocate for themselves is also empowering. Self-advocacy helps students recognize their rights are being violated and gives them the confidence to speak up. Remember that there is more information about reporting bullying and bullying policies through the Department of Education. You want to be persistent, and you may also wish to contact an educational consultation or attorney if the situation does not improve. Key factors of what we don't want to do. We do not want to approach the parents of the alleged aggressor. Okay, we do not want to do that. We don't want to get emotional. It's hard. We don't want to tell our child to ignore the bully, or my least favorite phrase, they must like you if they're treating you so mean. We don't want to do that. Right? Does not make for healthy relationship skills in the future. We also don't want to blame our child. We don't want to say, well, if you didn't dress that way, people wouldn't make fun of you, or if you didn't act this way, people want to be your friend. We don't want to encourage retaliation. Most schools have a zero tolerance when it comes to bullying, whether you are the aggressor or the victim in the situation. Okay, so if you encourage your child to physically retaliate, they can have consequences there. And do not criticize your child for how or she or he handled it. If you feel they handled it inappropriately, talk about strategies to improve it should this problem happen in the future. Talk about ways to report the problem at school. But we are not going to criticize our child for how they handled the situation. All right, let's talk about some of our resources for today. Pacer is the absolute best resource, in my opinion, on understanding bullying. So Pacer has lots of different resources there. I was once part of an organization where we worked with the local school district to we had a bullying issue in our district, and we worked with the local district to put policies in place and bring education and things to the district. And we pulled all our resources from Pacer. Bullying.org, Stop Bullying Now is wonderful, and of course, What Can Parents Do? There's lots more resources here. Again, I will make sure that link works when I email it out so you guys can see all these. So it's important to remember as families that bullying affects each one of us in the family. It affects our student, it affects their brothers and sisters, and affects mom and dad. It's important to know the steps of how to address bullying, how to contact your district about the problem, and how to get the problem stopped and resolved. It's also super important to make sure that we are empowering our students to change this effect. Okay, we're empowering them to learn more about their feelings, self-regulate with their feelings, express their needs, and put a stop to this problem. Like I said earlier, it's been a problem since the beginning of time, but we as a society are on our way to changing that. Okay, we're recognizing that it's a huge issue. We're recognizing it needs to stop, and we're implementing strategies so our students have better experiences in school, and that's huge. So hopefully by the time our students are parents, this isn't an issue with schools anymore. This isn't an issue with our society anymore to victimize or bully another person. Bullying is hard on the aggressor. They're doing it for a reason, to fulfill an unmet need that we need to address, and it's definitely hard on our victims as well. Our students with disabilities are more likely to be affected by bullying because they're different than their other peers. And we have to make sure that we put protections and strategies in place to protect those students. So, a little bit more about how to get involved with Family Matters. You can absolutely volunteer as an advocate for our Educational Surrogate Parent program. You can find more information about that on our website. You can attend educational events or trainings like today and share that information with other parents or your local school district. You can donate to the program. We have a donation button on our website, or we have an Amazon wish list. Participate in fundraising events that we have, consider applying for the board of directors, and share more information about Family Matters PTIC with your network. Family Matters covers 94 counties in the state of Illinois outside of the Chicagoland area. If you have questions about your child's plan or your role in their education, and you live outside of and you don't live in McHenry, Lake, Kane, DuPage, Cook, Kendall, Will, or Grundy County, you can call Family Matters. If you do live in these 8 counties, you are welcome to call FRCD and talk about your concern about the Parent or Training and Information Center that covers the Chicagoland area. You are absolutely welcome, of course, to take part in our trainings that we offer through either program. Okay, at this time, I will stop the recording and we will address questions.